Hi everyone, today I'm going to show you how to quickly and easily knit these beautiful pleated pattern socks. It's also a really easy sole, which even beginners can knit without getting any holes. And these socks are just really fun to make, especially with this color gradient. What you'll need for this is a set of double-pointed needles. I used size 2.0 and matching sock wool. I use Starkwalla sock wool. I think the color gradient is pretty. It goes perfectly with the pattern. The pattern is also really simple. It's always divisible by 16. That means you now need to cast on 16 stitches per needle. I knit my socks in about a size 38 to 39, and if you want to knit them much larger or smaller, I'd advise you. For example, with larger sizes, to simply use size 3.5 needles instead of 2.5. Those are still pretty easy to knit, and for smaller sizes you can just decrease stitches at the bottom of the foot. As you can see, I only used knit stitches here, which makes it really easy to decrease. So you get something a bit wider here, but that doesn't really matter, and then it gets narrower towards the foot. Now cast on 16 stitches per needle, so 4 times 16 stitches. I always use 2 needles for this, it just makes it a bit looser. You cast on your stitches the first 2. Three. Cast on 4 stitches until you have 16 stitches 4 times in total. And then I'll show you what to do next. So, your cuff should look something like this now. Like I said, I really like this yarn because of the way the colors gradient. We're now going to start with our leg and our pattern. The pattern is always knitted over 16 stitches, which means we repeat it 4 times per round. And the first 2 rounds are really easy. You just knit all the stitches. Like I said, 2 rounds, knit all stitches. This pattern has a vertical repeat of 10 rounds. That means the whole pattern repeats every 10 rounds. Although you can stop after 5 rounds, that looks good too. It's personal taste. Like I said, rounds 1 and 2 of the pattern repeat. Knit all stitches, so now we're going to knit rounds 3, 4 and 5, which are all the same and also really simple. We knit 2 knit stitches again, and then 11 purl stitches. After the 11 purl stitches, you knit the remaining 3 stitches on your needle. On the second needle, you just continue the same way, meaning another 2 knit stitches. "11 purl stitches. "11, and then 3 knit stitches. You'll do this for a total of 3 rounds now. Let me summarize that for you. For rounds 3, 4 and 5, you always start with 2 knit stitches, 11 purl stitches and 3 knit stitches. Repeat that on every needle for 3 rounds, and then we'll meet back here. After the 5th round, you can already see these, let's call them tiles, starting to show here because of the purl stitches. Rounds 6 and 7 are super easy, you just knit all the stitches again. I'll tell you right now, rounds 8 to 10 are also the exact same thing. But I'll show you that after you've knit these 2 rounds of knit stitches, the 8th to 10th rounds won't be any harder either. We start off by purling 5 stitches. After that, you knit 5. and then 6 purl stitches. Next needle, same thing again, 5 purl stitches. Then 5 knit stitches, and then 6 purl stitches. I'll show you the whole pattern repeat here again so you can write it down. That was actually the whole pattern. Like I said, the pattern repeat is 10 rounds high. And as you can see, it's really super simple. You basically just keep doing this for as long as you want. I'm going to keep knitting the leg until it measures about 15 centimeters from the cuff. Once you're ready, we'll meet back here. Happy knitting! Once you've knit 15 centimeters from the start of the sock and finished with the 10th round of the pattern repeat, we'll start on the heel. For this, we need one less needle, because we're going to knit the 4th needle. Here you can see the start of your work and the first needle onto one single needle. This means you now use the 4th needle to knit the first needle, just as the stitches appear. That means 5 purl stitches. After that, you turn your work over. And now knit on this one needle here. Here's where the heel flap goes up, purl all stitches. Start with a purl stitch. This is basically the second row of our heel flap. The first round was knitting together the 4th and the 1st needle. And for the last stitch, you just purl that one too. After that, you turn your sock back around and knit all stitches in your 3rd round. You start with a knit stitch. This means for you now, the front row, as I'll call it, is always all knit stitches. And the back row is always all purl stitches, so that you get a nice stockinette stitch on the front. You'll do this for a total of 16 rows going up, and then we'll meet back here. Your work should look something like this now. I've already knitted the 17th row, because we're starting our decrease rows now with a purl row. It works like this. We always purl the first 2 and the last 2 stitches of the purl row together. Here's how it works. You take the yarn, in front of the needle, and instead of going through the first stitch, you insert it through the first 2 stitches and purl them together as one. I'll show you again from the back. It's easier to see there, and you just purl all the other stitches normally. We purl the last 2 stitches together again, meaning we bring the yarn to the front of the needle, insert it through both stitches. Grab the yarn and purl it, and just like that, you've purled 2 stitches together. Turn your work again. For the next row, you knit all the stitches. So now you basically knit the first row, the front one, with all knit stitches. And for the back row, you always purl the first 2 and the last 2 stitches of the purled row together. And you keep repeating this until you only have 16 stitches left on your needle. Have fun until then! Here you can see what your heel flap should look like by now. Now we're coming to the only slightly tricky part of the sock, which is the heel, but I'll show you how to do it and then it'll be really easy. So now we're going to pick up stitches, and we'll do this in every second stitch, inserting the needle right at the very top into the first stitch. Always from bottom to top. And then we don't pick up this stitch here, but start with the second stitch. 2, 3. Don't be surprised, it's a bit tighter in some places now. But that's fine. So when we knit it, that way we'll get a nice heel without any holes. Always pick up every second stitch from bottom to top. It should look like this now. Take your needle and knit all of these newly picked up stitches. Like I said, don't worry, it really is a bit tight. But if it's tight, you won't have any holes afterwards. That's the goal of a beautiful heel. I think this heel is actually pretty easy, and it's great for beginners too. Especially since you often get those holes with other heels. We knit the other 2 needles completely normally, meaning in our pattern repeat. So watch out, if you finished with the 10th round like I did, you now start knitting at round 1 again, just these 2 needles. All stitches knit. Once you've knit those 2 stitches in our pattern repeat, you'll naturally need to pick up stitches here too, which works basically the same way. You pick up every second stitch, again, being careful here, that you really pick them up right here at the edge and not somewhere over here. And again, insert your needle into every second stitch, going from bottom to top. Here too, yes, it's tight, and yes, it's a bit more annoying than normal knitting. But it's worth it to get a nice heel without any holes. And that's really the hardest part. From here on out, it gets super easy. It should look like this again, really nice and close to the work. You grab a needle again and knit all the stitches across. Now you still have your 16 stitches here from our heel flap. We're going to distribute these across the 2 needles now. This means you now simply knit the next 8 stitches with your needle. And grab a new needle. Knit the remaining 8. Put that needle to the side. And knit the picked up stitches with this needle of yours. Knit all the stitches until you have 2 left, and then knit those last 2 together. I'll show you how to knit them together. You still have 2 stitches left on your needle. It's actually just like purling together. You don't insert the needle into the first stitch, but into the back stitch, going through both stitches. Grab the yarn and knit the 2 stitches together as one knit stitch, and just like that, you've turned 2 knit stitches into 1. The whole thing, then of course, always the 2 needles here in the pattern repeat. After that, you knit the first 2 stitches together at the front and then knit all the other stitches. So, let me show you. From now on, we'll knit all the stitches on the bottom 2 needles and keep working our pattern on the top. And how the heel ends is also simple. I'll explain that to you in a moment. You've now knit all the stitches on this needle and knit the last 2 together. For needles 2 and 3, we'll knit in the pattern stitch. On needle 4, we knit the first 2 stitches together and knit all the other stitches. Then knit 1 round with all knit stitches, meaning without any decreases, and then another round with decreases, meaning you just keep alternating. 1 round of knitting the last 2 and the first 2 stitches together. And 1 round at the back of the heel, knitting all stitches. On the front, just keep knitting in your pattern. Keep doing this until you only have 16 stitches left on these 2 needles. See you then. By now your sock should look like this. Let me show you the heel again. It really looks beautiful and doesn't have any holes. That's why I actually like this one the best. Next, you'll knit the foot, which is really very simple. You just keep knitting the 2nd and 3rd needles, which are the top 2 needles, using our pattern repeat. And the 1st and 4th needles, the bottom ones, always in plain stockinette stitch until you've reached your desired length. I'm knitting the socks in about a size 39, and I'll keep knitting until I have 15 centimeters, measured here from the edge of the heel. A quick tip, if you're knitting them for yourself or a family member, you can just keep knitting the foot until the little toe starts, and then we'll begin the toe. And I'll show you how to do that. Your sock should look like this now. As you can see, we kept knitting the pattern up here and worked all the stitches on the bottom in knit. Now you're going to start the toe. And it's actually really easy to knit. I'll show you, we always knit the toe with knit stitches. You start here at the end of your heel with the first needle and knit all the stitches except for the last 2 stitches which you knit together. Just a quick tip, I knit the foot to the exact length where the color changes again, because I think that looks really nice. When every new part of the sock is in a new color. You've reached the last 2 stitches. Now you knit these together. It's really easy. you insert your needle from the back into the stitch. Insert through both stitches so you go into the back stitch, through both of them and knit them like a knit stitch. And just like that, you've turned 2 knit stitches into 1 knit stitch. On the second needle, which I'll keep calling the even needles, you knit the first 2 stitches together. Knit together knitwise again. So insert your needle into the back stitch from grab both strands, knit it like a knit stitch, 2 stitches knitted together knitwise. Knit all the other stitches on the needle. The third needle is another odd-numbered needle. An odd-numbered needle means we knit the last 2 stitches together. Knit all stitches again. And knit the last 2 stitches together knitwise again. Fourth needle, even needle, knit the first 2 stitches together. For the next round, you just knit all the stitches as they appear, so that's all knit stitches with no decreases. This means you always knit 1 round of all knit stitches, and then you do 1 decrease round. That means, on the first and third needles, you always knit the last 2 stitches together. And on the second and fourth needles, the first 2 stitches. So that your toe gets knitted up nice and evenly here. Keep doing these decrease rounds until you have 6 stitches left on each needle, and then we'll meet back here. Like I said, 1 round of knit stitches all the way around and 1 round of decreases. Have fun. The toe of your sock should look something like this now. Here you can see that it really creates a nice edge, beautiful and even, and that the sock is now tapering towards the top. You now have 6 stitches left on each of your needles. The next rounds are really easy. You're just going to knit decrease rounds from now on. That means in every round on the odd needles, so the first and third needle, you always decrease the last 2, and on the even needles, meaning the second and fourth needle, the first 2 stitches which you knit together. You keep doing this until you only have 3 stitches left on the needle, and then you can already weave in your ends. You can finish your sock now. You have 3 stitches left on each needle. Cut the yarn, leaving enough of a tail to weave in the ends. Take a tapestry needle and thread it through the stitches from bottom to top. Insert the needle. Then pull the stitch off the needle. Let me show you that again, right here from the bottom. Insert from back to front. Pull the needle through and slip it off the needle. Now do this with all 4 needles. Once you've cast all the stitches off the needle, you'll have this tiny little hole left over here at the front, which is actually a good thing, because now we're going to push the needle right through it and turn the sock. Pull the needle through the hole and turn the sock inside out, because then we can already weave in the ends. You can pull on it a bit here to make sure the hole closes, and once you have a nice toe at the front. You see the hole is gone. Now you weave in the end. Always insert needle from bottom to top into stitches. It's really easy. I usually do this about 8 times. So that it really holds even in the washing machine. The yarn is washable at 40 degrees, which means you can also put it in the washing machine. But I always recommend just using a 30-degree wool cycle for wool socks. Then they'll last longer. Cut it off, then you do the same thing at the top. I don't even need these threads. Quickly weave in the yarn at the top. That's always the advantage of self-streeping yarn. So you don't have 1,000 ends to weave in for every single color, which I personally find a bit annoying otherwise. And the yarn has a really nice color gradient too. Like I said, just insert the needle. About 6 times, maybe even 8 times depending. And then you can cut the yarn and your sock is already finished. I'll show it to you again. And the sock is finished. If you liked my video, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed for free. That way you won't miss any of my new videos. See you soon.